So, all right, so the Legion 7 10th generation, this is the most powerful laptop I've tested. Yes, even among the 18 inchers out there. But does that mean that it's the best? We're going to find out. So first, Lenovo completely changed the design. And if you've seen some of my old videos, I'm actually really happy about that. I've always complained about the Legion line looking very similar to their ThinkPad line of laptops and their Yoga line of laptops, etc., just with a little bit of gamer flair to it. I mean, and most of my jobs in corporate America have been Lenovo laptop. So I guess I'm just inherently bored of these types of design. I'm really happy that Lenovo went outside of the box and did something different. So first of all, this lid is made out of metal. It is a high quality metal. Not the highest quality metals out there, but it is metal nonetheless. The back, this is also metal, but as you can see, it is picking up fingerprints like crazy. I'm tired of wiping this laptop. If I have to keep on wiping this laptop, this video won't happen. So it is what it is. And you do have the protruding back, which is common for gaming laptops. I'm okay with it. You'll see, even though the laptop is still closed, these are actually the speakers. You know what? The speakers are okay. They're not bad. Not the best, not the worst. We'll do a speaker test. You know what? Now that I've had other laptops and I've been doing a lot more comparisons, this one's not bad. This is definitely mid-range, maybe higher mid-range in terms of audio quality, not much bass, not the greatest highs. Mids are a bit muffled. I mean, at the end of the day, like, this is not MacBook level, it's not G16 level, it's not Razer Blade 18 level, which I do have, and oh man. So, okay, that's a video for another day. Back to this. Overall, I think I'm happy enough with these speakers. I have been gaming on it. Not the best out there, but it is serviceable. All right, so closing back the lid because I'm not done with this. You can see that the Legion logo is illuminated and it is a nice touch. Do like that. And the only sign that this is a Lenovo laptop is all the way at the back here. I think they're starting to lean into the Legion brand a little bit more, and I do like that. So turning it around to the back, you got some RGB here, and I'm not gonna lie, guys. I mean, even though the lighting here is diffused, it does look a little bit cheap. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that too much, though. Overall, it does look good, and I like that Lenovo is going for their own unique styling. Maybe it's just the way it's angled. I feel like the lighting at the back here doesn't do this product justice. I love RGB, but I feel like it could have been handled better. And after using some other laptops where it's tastefully done, this just isn't one of them. But I mean, that's just me. Let me know in the comments. No ports at the back. I know that was Legion's big thing. They started this whole thing by putting ports on the back, and now they're getting rid of it, but look at that. You're getting gigantic radiators here, which does help push air out better. And as a result, to the left and to the right, there is no more ventilation around the sides. Whether you're lefty or righty, will not have hot air blowing out on it. So great. So since I'm here, Ethernet jack, and well, this is one of my favorite features, and especially since I use my laptops for work, is this physical shutter camera button here. And what I like about this is not software. This physically cuts the power to the camera itself, so this can't be hacked. If you're worried about working for a company where they're tracking you and randomly taking pictures of you, they won't be able to with this. Both ports are connected to the dedicated GPU, including the Thunderbolt, so I do like to see that. So if you have a good Thunderbolt dock, one cable in, and you're fully set up. Happy with the port selection, but I'm not going to count them all, but it seems like there's less than before, but I've never had any issues running out of ports with this, and I've been using this as my work laptop, as my editing laptop, and as my gaming laptop, so I have not had any issues with ports or the lack of ports on this laptop. All right, so right here in the back, here's your ventilation, not as much as you would typically see. One thing I don't like, though, is the position of these. So when you're gaming, this back never gets hot. It might get a little bit warm. So I was excited. I'm like, yes, I can start gaming on my lap. But no, your lap ends up choking the system and the temperatures got really high, too high for me to be comfortable with. The GPU was in the mid 80s, which is in thermal throttling territory, and any higher than that, then the entire laptop sometimes could just cut off because NVIDIA doesn't want to run their GPUs past like 85 to 87 degrees. CPU is always at the 90s, 95s, no matter what you're doing. That's just the nature of gaming laptops. I mean, if you're coming from desktops, that may be scary, but for laptops, that's normal. People in the comments who are concerned about 95 degrees on the CPU, that's just what it is. It's been like that for years, and Lenovo has been really good at lasting a long time. Anyway, so I just wanted to cover that. And overall, since I'm looking at the back here and we're talking about the ventilation and back to these radiators here, overall, it's fairly quiet. Not as quiet as the Scar, which is one of the quietest laptops I've ever tested, though that was an 18-inch. This is a 16-inch. This is one of the quietest 16-inch gaming laptops that has the full performance. Back to the actual design. Open this up and you're getting a very similar keyboard, but maybe slightly improved. It is full RGB, of course, and what I like about Lenovo systems is the lighting controls is built right into the firmware, so even when the laptop is booting up in the BIOS menu, you have full access to all the controls of the brightness and switching the effects. Not all laptops have that. They're usually tied to the software, so you won't even have access to change any of these settings, any of the keyboard settings, until you open up that particular software. This is their latest version of their True Strike keyboard. I hate using marketing terms, but that's what they call it. And it is a great keyboard. One of the best out there. Probably, no, you know what? This is my favorite keyboard out there. And what I like is you're able to get a full-size arrow key and also a full-size numpad with the plus and the subtract and the enter all in the right area. No other laptop, even 18 inches, have such a good keyboard layout. And on top of that, what I really like about this keyboard are the keycaps are a bit grippy, a bit rubbery in a sense. I think it does help with the typing performance. There's absolutely no wobble when you try to jiggle the keys. The amount of actuation force necessary to click down is perfect. I can't really describe exactly what they did, but they really nailed it to where it doesn't feel too cheap. And it also doesn't feel too stiff. It's the perfect right balance. And Lenovo's been the greatest at making keyboards. They own the ThinkPad line. They've been making corporate business laptops for years, so they just know how to do this. So they're just taking their best keyboard technology and just adding RGB to it. Can't complain there. One gripe, one small gripe, I should say, and you can probably see that. This trackpad is small. 90% of the time, it's not bad though. When I'm scrolling left or right, it's okay. But when I start scrolling up and down on websites, my fingers start to run out of room here, and it becomes a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit annoying to use. I wish the trackpad was a little bit longer. There is some room here. I don't know why they couldn't have incorporated that. Hopefully next year. But man, even though this is a plastic trackpad, it glides incredibly well. And pointing is really fast, not much lag. And I feel like I have to mention that because there are some laggy trackpads out there. Asus, pretty much every one of their trackpads has just some kind of lag to it. This is instantaneous. And when I'm editing videos or photos, just having a nice trackpad does make a difference. So really happy about that. All right, and then look, you got the power button right here. This is more than just a power button. Depending on the different performance mode you're in, whether it's balance or quiet, it'll turn blue, and if it's on performance, it'll turn red. I can't do that. Well, actually, I can. And if you plug it in, you can get performance, and then it turns red. So you always know which performance mode you're in. Very clever stuff. Lenovo's really starting to do a good job of just being very detail-oriented with how they design these laptops and how they use their RGB, etc., which is not something I could say for every other laptop manufacturer. This is something little that really helps me out. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times when I'm gaming, I'm wondering which performance mode I'm in, and usually have to get out of the game, open the software to see. Being able to have this color-coded actually really does save me a lot of time. Well, next I want to talk about the display. As you can probably see, it is incredibly glossy. That could be a bit of a deal breaker for some of you, but what I have noticed though is it's a bit tinted, so it's darker, so it's not as much of like a mirror-like reflection. I mean, it is still glossy. I'm not going to get around by saying it isn't, but it hasn't been as bad. And also, brightness being 500 nits in SDR, which is unheard of for a OLED panel. Maybe they're able to keep the panel cooler so they can run it at a higher brightness without it burning in. So, I mean, you can see that the bezels are a bit chunky, which is unusual for a 2025 laptop. And also the side is chunkier than what I typically see. So I don't know if they're doing anything extra to be able to get this panel to run brighter or if it's a newer panel. I wasn't able to check the panel numbers and compare it. If you guys know, please leave me a comment. Would love to pin that comment so other viewers would know. Anyway, color is really good too. Of course, you're getting the 100% DCI-P3, 93% Adobe RGB, which is great. So this is great for photo editing if you are into that. But honestly, a little bit lower than I was hoping for in the Rec 2020. That really helped with HDR, and HDR looks incredible on this laptop. One of the best ones out there. I will say though, the more I switch between LCD panels and OLED panels, there's one thing I do prefer about LCD panels. It used to be brightness, but now you're able to get 500 nits on OLED, which is fantastic. But the subpixel layout on OLEDs just isn't really optimized for the way Windows handles things, so it's just not always great. Things just don't look as sharp, even though it's the same resolution. Minor issue though, there's tons of arguments to be made that the benefits of OLED definitely outweighs the unusual subpixel layout when it comes to text and fine details such as like grass and fabrics and hair and stuff. So it is a nitpick. So as much as I like OLED, it's definitely not a perfect technology, and I would still be happy with a good LCD or mini LED panel as well too. But man, one of the best panels out there. All right, so now in terms of performance, so I've done this a bunch of times now. I've tested several gaming laptops this year, and what I'm noticing is they are all performing very similarly until I met the Legion. This one does perform better, so let's look at that stress test I typically do with Steel Nomad. And as you can see, I'm getting an average FPS of 64. So how does that actually translate into games? It translates fairly well. You get a bit of a bump compared to any of the other gaming laptops I tested. This is a 5090 in this particular Legion 7, where like in Cyberpunk, you're getting a decent bump compared to the other gaming laptops out there. And on top of that, just this being a great laptop that's quiet, has a good design, a good build, everything just adds up. This kind of becomes like a no-brainer for 2025. So I know I'm cutting the performance short a little bit, but just go back and look at some of the other videos I've done. But I've covered the 5090 and the 5080 so much. Just know that you are getting a decent bump up if you go with the Legion. They're doing something. I know they are using a factory overclock in the Legion Space software when you are in performance mode. On top of that, they've always had their own coprocessor, which probably helps divvy up power between the CPU, the RAM, and GPU in a very seamless way. And speaking of which, I did that typical test when I run Cyberpunk, and I would look to see how much wattage is being pushed between the GPU and the CPU. I'm getting like the regular 240s that I've been seeing in some of the more premium 18-inch gaming laptops, but on top of that, every once in a while, the total power draw would spike up to like 260 share between the GPU and the CPU, and that's not something I've really seen before in other gaming laptops. Where does that leave us, man? This is an easy no-brainer. It's sometimes expensive. It many times goes on sale. Just keep looking at Lenovo's website and you will find a good deal on this. This is probably one of the better gaming laptops out there, and for most people, this is it. You could just stop looking. I mean, and it's Lenovo, so you're getting their top tier warranty support. Best keyboard in class. Good trackpad, though it's a bit small. Brand new design, unique. This will definitely stand out if that's what you're looking for. Performance is topping the charts, literally. It's hard to find a better gaming laptop than this. So if you were considering this, there's no reason to not get this. If you're considering this versus others, thankfully, all the gaming laptops are good this year. So there might be things you like about one over another one. But I think if you don't feel like doing a whole bunch of research and you just want to choose the best gaming laptop, and if this happens to be on sale and you just want the best overall gaming laptop that doesn't break the bank, then this is it. You can just stop researching and just get this. I stopped using affiliate links because I don't want to sound like I'm being a salesman or anything. This is just my genuine opinion. If you guys like this video, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm almost at 10,000 subs. Please help me get there. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Bye.